had a bunch of videos planned going back to right before Easter, and I was going to chime in on the Muda versus Ethan Klein thing, and Trump versus Biden, and then life happened. Um, I have to apologize because one of my whole main things about coming back and making videos again was that I wanted to be some form of entertainment here for you guys. Just the people that have stuck around all these years, some of you 10 plus years, some of you 12 years. And this video is not meant to be entertaining. It's more of just a cathartic treatment, if you will. I don't know, I just feel that it feels right to kind of just talk about this because there's only so much talking back and forth with people I can do right now, given the state of the country. And um, just to cut to the chase here, I found out on Easter Sunday that my mother, who was already terminally ill, had her life down to days, and there was no recovery from it. And I may not seem as upset as many people would think one should be, because 3 days ago my mother passed away. And going on to, like, why I don't seem as upset, like, do you have a bad relationship with his mother? Why isn't he bawling his eyes out right now? Because while it is truly tragic, and I feel a true immense level of grief. I had a great relationship with my mother, and uh, the problem is there was a great relationship with my mother. My mother has been in such a decline of health. Uh, she had a brain tumor that was found, I say, going back to 13, 14 years ago now. It wasn't enlarging anymore, but it onset Parkinson's in her, or greatly accelerated Parkinson's. I mean, it's hard to tell if she already had Parkinson's or was going to develop that regardless, but that tumor made things worse. And I've been watching this human being, my mother, die for years now. I've watched her get whittled down to damn near nothing. And it's hard to say I'm so relieved that a loved one is dead, especially one's own mother. But with the grief, there is just such a relief in knowing that her suffering and degradation of life is over. It's over. And it stinks given the climate of things now, because, here we are a couple of days removed from her death. I should be, attending a funeral, planning a funeral, getting the family together, and none of which can be done right now. My family is from New Jersey, and most of my parents' family and friends are in New Jersey as well. And it's one of the worst places to hold any sort of public function right now. And, who knows if and when anything like that. I mean, funeral homes, the ones that aren't booked up, I mean, I have the option of having like a drive up ceremony with just like people meeting in cars, and I'm just like, I'd rather wait at that point. I mean, and I've talked with family and friends, and they're okay if we wait or if we just hold our own personal remembrances of my mother. But anyways, I'm babbling and thinking out loud here, guys. Again, I apologize that this isn't like the type of entertainment that you expect here from me. And I came back to be entertaining for you guys, and then, life just decided to rear its off an ugly head, more ugly to me than things have been going recently. Um, I gotta say, one of just the absolute best things, and this person doesn't understand this right now, and someday I will explain to him, but my son and just his happiness and his lack of truly understanding grief and suffering, just him and me having to be locked in a house end to end every day with him was just it's just been such a great distraction. Like he has, no idea what a great piece to the grieving process it has been. And makes me wonder, like, things would have been so much worse if, he goes to daycare several days a week, and if I just sit here and stew at home by myself and not have, any sort of distraction. Like, it's not like I've been watching like movies the past few days, and I've barely been on the internet, and just getting a solid chunk of my day consumed with my son it's just been incredible. And hopefully someday I'll show him this video, and he can see what a integral part he was to my life at just 2.5 years old. Um, yeah, it's just it's weird because it really feels bad. And I said to my wife, like, I almost feel wrong that I don't feel worse about this happening, because it makes you feel like, oh, you're a selfish, piece of garbage. Like, how are you not just insanely wrecked from your mother dying? But just the feeling of just knowing that the immense worry I had over her for what is going on years now, that worry's gone. Like, it's gone. And the whole thing of, like, me saying like I had a great relationship with my mother, um while I would often see my mother, talk to my mother on the phone, um her mind has slipped away so much that, um talking to her for 2 minutes on end coherently would be considered a good day. And it's been months that you've seen that progressing to almost a year. And again, it's like, I don't feel like I lost something that was a significant part of my life for years now. It's been years now. And I don't say that ignorantly, like, well, like, good riddance or anything like that. But it just made it so much easier to accept this ultimate end. And but it still sucks. It still sucks. Both my parents died at the age of 72. I wish I could tell you that, both were heavy drinkers, smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day, were morbidly obese, but I can't tell you any of those things. My father was a hard worker. He retired from the job he was working at for 30 years and took on a part-time job after his age of retirement just because he wanted to be a productive member of society. And then life just gave him cancer and wiped him out. And, you know, my mother spent many years working for doctors, and life ended her at 72 as well. So, I've always said, life isn't fair, and the second you convince yourself that it is supposed to be, you're the fool. And I accept that fully here. That is life. That is life. It's not supposed to be a rhyme or reason. But I mean, I wouldn't wish what happened to my mother on my worst enemy. Um, just seeing a human being wither down, and she had dementia develop from her Parkinson's that was pretty much the past year of her life, to like, where if she saw you, she would say happy birthday, even though your birthday was like months before, or just not know your name. And just like you see little things like that start picking up, and then it gets to the point where she doesn't recognize you at all. And you know, just knowing that she didn't want that from life. Like, she didn't want that. Her medical directives that she had established ahead of time, to have no sort of feeding tubes or any sort of sustenance to be induced medically. And she got put on hospice care, and I wasn't able to see her in her final days. She was at a facility where she ran a fever of over 100. Just as a precaution, they sent her to the hospital. This was right before Easter, and she was flagged right away as a possible COVID case. So obviously, they're not going to let you see someone like that. Took the test results, which just speaks volumes how good the system works. 5 days, 5 days to get the results of her COVID test. And she was so far gone at that point that she was like in a completely catatonic state, that, there was, you know, nothing you could say to her. There was no consciousness left or anything like that. But anyway, that's life. And sorry if this video made some of you guys uncomfortable. I tried to leave out some of the most grueling details, and trust me, I could get a lot more grueling and gruesome with how her end ultimately achieved, or I don't know, is achieve the right word? Can't follow me for not having a straight mind in this video, guys. Sorry. So yeah, that's life. And it stinks. It sucks. Like I said, both my parents are dead at 72. Both of them. Like, when I think of what I want to be doing at 72, it's like I want to be enjoying retirement. I want to be just, a couple years into my retirement, and then, like, traveling the world or something, seeing the sights. Like, I see so many other people in their 70s, mid 70s, late 70s, out and about, not missing a beat. I mean, you're not you're not moving around the world like you're 30 years old anymore, but still, like, you're far from like a crippled senior citizen at that point. And both my parents died at 72. Again, I wish I could tell you they lived uproarious lives that took a toll on them, but I can't. I can't. Oh well. Just don't take life for granted, people. And that's one of the things that the untimely demise of both my parents have taught me. Just, don't take life for granted. Appreciate it. Love it. And just made me realize just how trivial it is. Like, I'm going to sit here and bitch about Ethan Klein versus Muda. That's the thing. My mother, she's the type of person that, like, never said a bad word about anyone. She was like one of those people, like, and like her sister, on the other hand, oh my God. It's so weird. Like, you see my aunt and my mother, and you're like, how were they raised in the same household? Because my mother, my aunt would just criticize or have something negative to say. She's more like me about any of many things that bothered her in her life. My mother was the type of person that just, oh, I don't mind it. It doesn't really affect me. I'll be nice to you, you be nice to me type of person. I never heard her say a bad word about people or anything like that. And she's gone. Anyway, never really thought about where I wanted to end this on, or any specific note or point. But yeah, so I don't know. We'll see how many videos I plan on making from here on out. I don't know. I got to at least chime in on the Trump Biden thing, because that's just a lot of things to talk about there. Anyway, thank you all for listening and being a part of this, what is the grieving process, but I consider it more of a relief process at this point. Because seeing what happened to my mother over the past few years, I mean, it may seem callous to say it, but that was worse than her dying. And you can call me whatever you want from that, but it was something, and it's done, and there's grief, there's relief, and that is all.